There's a pretty one, Ulysses. There it is.
Hello BookTube, I'm Shah, the Book Maniac. Welcome back to my channel. Here I am, 7 a.m. bright and early in a park that I haven't filmed in this year, I don't think. And I've caught the sun and the hour just right. It's 7 a.m. I'm probably bothering somebody. No, I think everybody in Japan is up by 7 a.m. I'm surrounded by apartment buildings. I want to start on a serious note, which is that wow, within 12 hours, I heard a couple pieces of really sad news. As I went to bed the other night, I saw Thomas of the Readers, formerly of the Readers, tweet. He has a fabulous blog that you probably all know about, hogglestock.com, and his husband of nearly 20 years, very suddenly and unexpectedly, at a very young age, I'm not sure how old, died. So that was just terrible news. Thomas and Simon had a huge influence on me getting more and more involved in bookish social media, and it deepened my reading and introduced me. Thomas is the one who introduced me to Barbara Pym, and so he's a very special guy in my world. I'm certainly not going to pretend that we're friends because, you know, that's not true, but very sad news. And then when I woke up in the morning, I got private message, DM from a person I knew on Litzy to tell me that Jenny Colvin of the fabulous bookish podcast Reading Envy died, and she was 43. That was a shock. And again, Jenny and I were friendly. I wouldn't call us friends, but we liked each other. We worked together. I was a guest on her podcast 3 times. And we exchanged books and exchanged views on life and bookish life, and an important person in my bookish world for many years. And she's gone. And that also hit me. So keeping Thomas in my thoughts today, and the Jenny's husband and her family as well. Wow. So I'm really pleased that I can get all this greenery in the backdrop, because usually this bench is too sunny. So I'm hoping it's cloudy enough that I'll get through my Friday reads without having to move or anything, without squinting at you. And I don't have a lot to say bookish-wise, but I do have a little bit, so we'll get to that at the end of the program, after a few commercial breaks. And no, that is not toothpaste on my face. I don't know what the hell it is. A white hat. I think it's actually a whisker that I didn't shave carefully enough. So if that's distracting you, you can at least rest assured that it's not toothpaste. I tried to scrub it off. It's not going anywhere. So I'm doing the best I can, people. This is my penultimate Friday reads. The first thing I want to say about that, it's an announcement, and I will give you at least one more in the form of a short video reminder or something. I'm going to put it on my other bookish social media. Next Friday, May 27th, and my Friday morning, May 27th, is probably, for most of you, your Thursday evening. So double check the time zone conversions. I use timebee.com, timebie.com, but you can do it however you do your time conversions. I will be doing a live broadcast. I will be doing my final Friday reads as a live event where you can talk to me if you're nice. So that'll be somewhere around 7 a.m. I can't commit exactly to the time because I just can't, but somewhere around 7 o'clock. And if you don't know how to watch for a live feed, I think you just go to your new subscription list and it'll pop up when I go live. Or if there's a better way, somebody put it in the comments and I'll make sure to mention that the next time I give you a reminder, because actually that's how I find people's live videos when they are actually live. It just shows up in my subscription list. So monitor that, and you know, no pressure. It may be the middle of the night where you are, but yeah, around 7 a.m. Tokyo time, Friday, May 27th, I will be doing my final Friday reads. Typical talk about whatever I finished. I may not have finished very much, doing now and then then lots of time for interaction. Did a little test yesterday. Joe Smith helped me out with that, and Idjit Reads and Rambles, and Ingrid, maybe a couple others. And so I know that it works to, you know, that I can use the YouTube live thing with that my pocket Wi-Fi is strong enough, and the picture and the audio was good enough. So it's a go. I'm excited about that. So what can I tell you? It's been an interesting week. things are still mostly moving in a positive direction, and the most stressful stuff is now finished. What I mean by that is, let's see, talk about the taxes first very briefly. As you may have seen from last week, all I had left to do was go pay the 3 years of city tax, and then I'd be completely done. Basically, I'd be done, and I could leave with my taxes basically paid up. Long-term viewers might remember that I moved into the apartment where Kenji and I live in 2018. And so up until 2018, my city taxes went to a different ward, Shibuya, which is a very famous city within metropolis of Tokyo. Then from 2019 onwards, it's in this new ward because I moved across the ward line. Shibuya city office, where I went to pay city taxes, really late every year, including just about a month ago, I paid my 2018 city taxes. They always have English language interpreters available, so they did all the talking, and I would just give them my now finally filed national tax return, and they would spend about 20 minutes doing the calculations, give me the bill, I would pay it, and they'd give me a official certificate that I had paid my city taxes for that year, and it was very slick. So I just expected that it would be exactly the same at my new ward office, Nakano. No such luck. I went there, well, actually, I just said I'm not going to talk about this very long, but I thought that I had to file my 2019 at Shibuya too, so I went all the way over there in the middle of my busy workday on Monday, and they said, oh no, actually, if it depends, it's because you moved in 2018, you have to file at the new place. That was a bit of a waste of time, but c'est la vie. And I took all 3 of my income tax returns to the Nakano office on Tuesday, and nothing doing. And they didn't have interpreters, and I know they had they had these little devices that translate, and the woman didn't want to use it. And so she was trying to, she wouldn't use it. So I was using my Google Translate, but she wouldn't. So basically, no, absolutely not. They would take their sweet time processing the very late filed income tax returns and send out a notice at the very earliest next month. I said, I'm leaving the country next week. She said, you have to find someone to do it for you, look after it for you. And I'm not going to ask my student friend that helped me. That's way too much. So Kenji's going to look after that after I'm gone. That just pissed me off, but don't count on policies going from ward to ward, because that bit me in the butt. However, as soon as I realized that Kenji had to deal with it, and I didn't have to do anything other than leave him money to pay those yet to be assessed city tax bills for 3 years, I felt as relieved as if I'd actually paid it myself, because I don't have to deal with it. So it's like, okay, that's crossed off my list. Are you still with me? Wake up, wake up. Let's move on to a much more fascinating topic, getting rid of the furniture. So I told you last Friday that there's a new recycle shop, used furniture shop guy was coming to our house to check everything over, and he came, he was a little bit cute, and he took pictures of a few things and made some notes, and then Kenji translated while he was still standing right beside him, and he said, first thing Kenji said was 7,000 or 8,000 yen, $70 or $80. I thought, for everything? He's going to pay us $70 or $80 for everything? Well, if it gets it out of the house, yeah, fine. And he said, oh, no, I mean 70 or 80,000 yen, which is $700 or $800. And then Kenji further clarified that that's what this company, this new guy, this guy's company would charge us to throw everything in the trash. Kenji had one designer leather wallet that was unused that he would pay $20 for. He didn't want anything else, but if we wanted to pay him between $700 and $800, they would cart everything out to the trash for us. So we showed him the door. Jesus Christ. So then we started panicking, because the public garbage department, you need to make a reservation in advance. And Kenji was sure that we wouldn't be able to, we'd waited so long trying to sell stuff and this and that he thought that we'd run out of time, that they wouldn't accept a reservation before. To just use the public trash department, make a reservation for them to come and cart away my big leather sofa would be $20. Everything else would be much less than that, $40 $4 for this, $2 for that type of thing. You got to buy a little stamp and stick it on, and you can't put it out on the street until the day that they come pick it up. Because that was the other thing. If we could just leave it for them whenever they come and pick it up, but no, that doesn't work that way. So Kenji phoned them Monday morning, and absolutely not. The earliest they could come would be June 3rd, and I'll be in Canada, and Kenji will be out of the apartment. There's no way to. We can't leave stuff in the apartment until June 3rd because we're not renting it in June. So the system got us over a barrel. So Kenji contracted with another company, took pictures of everything we want to throw away, and they quoted a firm quote of $300 to throw everything away. I did manage to sell the other tall bookshelf for $60 on the weekend. So it's just a bunch of short little bookshelves that nobody wants. And the bed, Kenji's bed, my sofa, my sofa, exercise bike. Yesterday, Kenji and I put my exercise bike out on the street with a little poster. If I remember, I'll put a picture in here saying in Japanese, "Free for the taking, please take it." And it's been out there for 24 hours. Nobody's taken it. Nobody wants exercise bike. Anyway, it will be included in the load. We just thought if we got rid of a few things that way, some of the big stuff, the bookshelves, the exercise bike, there would be, if we could include a few more smaller things that they would throw out without the price going up. I will pay most of the garbage private trash company bill because it's mostly my stuff, and Kenji's doing a lot of cleaning in the apartment that because of my age and various health concerns, I can't get down on the floor and scrub this, that, and the other thing. So he's doing most of the work. I will pay most of the bills. Fair is fair. That was a lengthy update. Thank you for listening or skipping ahead. Well, I'm thinking of it. Several months ago, I started using timestamps, and I still do use timestamps. Maybe for about a year, I've been putting, not on each video. There are some videos where I think, you should watch the whole freaking video, god damn it. So I don't put timestamps on those. But for my Friday reads, when I read such a wide variety of stuff, and I do go on about this, that, and the other thing, I do put timestamps for the introduction and each book I talk about. So you can skip ahead very easily. Until about 2 months ago, there would also be chapter things on the bottom of the YouTube screen, and those have disappeared on my videos and everybody else's videos. The timestamps still work. If you go into the show notes and click on the time, it's hyperlinked, and it'll skip ahead to wherever you want to go. But I don't know why those chapter things have gone, because it's not just on my videos. Does anybody know what happened? Books, I don't have much to tell you. Let's start with what I've finished, only one. And I started reading this on Valentine's Day, so I took my sweet time with it, and I'm glad that I did. I loved it. Kololo Hill by Neema Shah. It was a delightful debut novel about a Indo-Ugandan family that were forced out along with the entire Indo-Indian population in Uganda under Idi Amin. And it was just such a rich, successful novel, character-driven, with themes of female empowerment. And one of the things that I thought it portrayed particularly well was, because I could see the same thing through the news reports of Ukraine as the invasion seemed like it was going to happen more and more, but so many everyday Ukrainians just didn't believe the news, and then even the government apparently didn't really think that Russia would invade. And the same sort of socio-psychological dynamic is really described here. He's not going to kick us out. Oh, he'll change his mind, but it was an atmosphere of violence and repression and persecution that was also nuanced with self-awareness of some of the characters, that in some ways, and not in a global sense, but that there was discord between the races, and that all the Indian families, or many of the Indian families in Uganda, had Ugandan servants, houseboys, and didn't necessarily treat the native population, if that's not an offensive word, the black Ugandan population all that well. So there was, the discord between the ethnic groups was explored, not just their being mean to us, but we maybe weren't treating them so well in different ways. It was an excellent debut. It was a 5-star read for me. I would have liked to see more character development and maybe less subplots. Didn't need to be quite this long, but I recommend it very, very heartily. Can't wait to see what Neema Shah does next. Most of the characters end up getting out of Uganda just before the deadline and going to the UK, and they aren't necessarily welcomed there with open arms, but even that, there's a lot of nuance in how the characters, especially the daughter-in-law, Asha, how she experiences the welcome, deals with the racism that they encounter in the UK, while also feeling truly grateful that they do have a place to start their lives anew. I thought it was really, really good. So I agree with Eric Carl Anderson that this was a novel that didn't get nearly enough attention the year it came out. It came out in 2021. I think I read it for Invisible Cities. Wasn't Uganda one of their countries? That's what finally made me pull it off my shelf and start reading it. And I'm really glad I did. It's also physically very beautiful book. Look at those end papers, hey? So that's what I finished. As I said last week, I have now started reading this latest translation from the incredible female Japanese writer Yūko Tsushima, Woman Running in the Mountains, translated from the Japanese by Geraldine Harcourt. And I think this one, it's the way it's starting out, I might even love it more than I love the two novellas that I've read. Well, and in fact, this one I didn't know until right now, because there's an introduction that I will go back and read. The introduction to this NYRB edition, hot off the press, is by Lauren Groff, who apparently is a writer that I should be reading, but so far nothing I've heard about interested me enough to give her a try. But the little thing here, I'm just looking at it for the first time. Child of Fortune is 1978. Territory of Light, which I also loved, is 1979. And this one was published originally in Japan in 1980. So this is a more recent one, and I'm loving it even more so far. It is the type of prose that I just absolutely love reading aloud, and I'm giving lots of editorial comments to Kendra, hopefully not too many, not to Kendra and Lindy, about things it makes me remember, or things that I think need a little bit of a footnote from me about, oh, this she's mentioning this because blah 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 in Japanese culture. Having a great time. I might even finish this up by next week. Be a fitting way to spend my last week in Japan, finishing up this novel, reading it to Lindy of Lindy's Magpie Reads and Kendra Winchester on Voxer. What I think that Yūko Tsushima does incredibly well is take really ordinary moments and just embed them, impregnate them with just layers of meaning that makes her prose such a joy to read. She's a very emotional writer, which is not something you say about most Japanese writers, is it? I love her. She died very young. She died in 2016. She was the daughter of the famous Japanese novelist Osamu Dazai, and I read one of his novels and hated it, but I'm definitely in the minority with not getting what all the fuss is about her father, who committed suicide as a very young parent and writer just after the war. But there isn't enough fuss about his fabulously talented daughter, Yūko Tsushima. So I'm going to start one more book in the coming week. Do you think I'm crazy? It's a book that was on my most anticipated 2022 releases video, and it's a book that I did a bite-sized book chat with Nancy Bukowski of The Literate Quilter. The memoir, She Came from Mariupol, by Natascha Wodin, translated from the German by Alfred Kueppers. This is a memoir about her mother. I've forgotten some of the details in my chat with Nancy, but I believe her mother died during World War II, during a really fierce battle at Mariupol, where the city was razed to the ground, and now the echo with what's just happened in Mariupol is going to be haunting as a reader. She didn't know much about her mother. The author was born in 1945 to forced laborer parents in a forced labor camp in Nazi Germany until they were liberated by the Allies, and then lived for many years of her young life in displaced persons camps and so on and so on. And I just see here too, because I never read any of this stuff until after the fact, I just noticed that Natascha Wodin was married to the novelist Wolfgang Hilbig and wrote a book about that marriage. So I might check that out. But this I'm expecting to be harrowing. So it's her journey to find out much later in life a lot of stuff she never knew about her mother's sad life. She came from Mariupol, just came out in English this year. That's all I got. We'll see you next week live.